Hello and good evening from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Today we are going to be riding on Amtrak's Capital Limited in the comfort of the Accessible Bedroom, the largest bedroom that Amtrak has to offer. Our journey today will see us traveling between Pittsburgh and Chicago, first heading northwest out of Pittsburgh, then turning west in Cleveland and heading across Ohio and Indiana before making a final turn back north into Chicago. We'll cover a total of 481 miles over the course of 9 hours and 46 minutes, with 9 station stops before our arrival into Chicago. We arrived here in Pittsburgh on the northbound Pennsylvanian from Harrisburg, which left a bit of time to kill before our scheduled departure time of 11:59 p.m. After taking a ride on the Pittsburgh inclines to get an amazing view of the city, the sun set over the horizon and we can make our way back to the station. Before we head into the station, we'll head upstairs to check out a piece of railroading history. Above the street-level entrance is the original station building, now occupied by the Pennsylvanian apartment complex. Sitting just outside the apartments, however, is the station Rotunda, which was built to give carriages a sheltered place to turn around when the station was first built. The Rotunda now stands as a historic reminder to the past railway greatness. The inside of the Rotunda is beautiful, with decoration along the walls and a massive skylight filling the gap in the center. The names of Chicago, New York, Philadelphia, and Pittsburgh are mounted on each of the 4 support pillars, with each being a major city served by the Pennsylvania Railroad. Our departure time grew closer as the night dragged on, meaning it was high time to head into the station. My original plan for today was to ride in coach from here to Chicago as a cheap, easy, and fun way to get between the 2 cities, which all in all would have cost me $35.57. But after some second thoughts, I decided to upgrade my ticket to a bedroom. After asking the station attendant about an upgrade, I was informed that there was only one option left, and that was the accessible bedroom. Not wanting to pass up the opportunity, I took the upgrade. An announcement was soon made to all passengers that our train would be arriving shortly, so we all headed upstairs to prepare for boarding. Our train, Amtrak Capital Limited number 29, rolled into the station, and boarding began shortly thereafter. Checking our ticket, we were assigned to car 2901, room H, the first of the 2 sleepers on tonight's train. Waiting out on track 1 was our train, with GE Genesis P42DC number 129 leading the charge. Making our way down to the second car, we can hop aboard and find our room. The door at the end of the hallway prominently displays an H, which rather strangely has a coat hanger jammed in between the door and the wall. I'll explain what this was for in a bit, but for now we can slide open the door and enter our residence for the next 10 hours. I didn't even have enough time to set my stuff down before our train departed Pittsburgh, marking the beginning of our adventure across the Midwest. Immediately after leaving Pittsburgh, our car attendant came through and converted the seats into a bed for the night. But before we head to sleep, we can take a look at what Amtrak's largest bedroom has to offer. Sitting at an impressive 6'9" by 9'5", the accessible bedroom is by far the largest room offered on any Amtrak service. Although the maximum of 6'9" is only seen in the bed half of the room, with the rest being about a foot smaller. That being said, there's still a ton of room to move around. The beds on Amtrak are actually very comfortable, with 2 pillows, fresh linens, and a pillow topper on top of the usual seat cushions. Amtrak also provides blankets if the room gets too cold. Between where each of the 2 seats would sit are 2 water bottles, with 1 for each seat, plus the tray table, which includes the operating instructions for all of the facilities in the room. Pulling up on the top reveals a rather lackluster tray table, which really could have done with a good cleaning. There's also no space for it when the bed is assembled, so we'll put it away for now. The trash can is located below the bottom of the staircase. It may be a clever place to put it, but the can is actually rather small as a result. A box of tissues is located on the top step of the staircase for passenger convenience. Turning our attention to the head of the bed, passengers can find the main control panel for the room. Included in the panel is the AC temperature control with the airflow lever located just above it. The lever is comically large, with a hefty linkage to control the vent above the bed. Flicking it is super satisfying, with a loud clunk whenever the lever is moved. The rest of the panel has one of 2 outlets in the room, plus a music control which didn't do anything, the light controls, and an attendant call button. As with all rooms on Amtrak, a second bunk is located above the main bed, hence the stairs mentioned earlier. Pushing on the latch releases the upper bed, which lowers down into its sleeping position. Compared to the lower, the upper bed is a few inches shorter and lacks quite a bit of cushioning, with only about 2 inches of bedding compared to the around 6 to 8 of the lower bed. Amenities for the upper bunk are limited, but there's a faux leather pouch for smaller belongings, plus a cargo net for larger bags or clothes. A reading light for the upper bunk is located next to the main cabin light. Because we're on board a train where movements can be unpredictable, Amtrak includes a safety net which hooks into the ceiling to prevent passengers from falling down in the middle of the night. Climbing the steps, we can swing our legs up and onto the top bunk. Amtrak's instructions for the top bunk show a passenger putting their head on the other end of the bed, but I found it was much easier to get in the other way around. Despite the shorter bed, I still had enough space to lay down without touching the head or foot of the bed frame, although there's very little space beyond that. For taller passengers, I highly recommend the lower bunk over this one. Reaching down, we can grab the netting and secure it in place. In its current state, the net is super loose, which isn't great for safety, but the straps on either side can be tightened to fix this. Aside from being another place to sleep, the top bunk provides a great vantage point to check out the entire room. One great feature of the accessible bedroom easily seen from up here is the ensuite bathroom, which we'll take a look at here shortly. Getting down from the top bunk can be a bit precarious, but the included handrail provides some much needed support. We won't be needing the top bunk for the remainder of the journey, so we can fold it back up and out of the way. Turning to the other half of the room, we can take a look at the best feature of the accessible bedroom, the full-size bathroom. Unlike the regular bedrooms, which include a combination shower and toilet, the accessible bedroom includes a full-size accessible bathroom with toilet, sink, and vanity. The sink works well with plenty of water pressure, and the soap is full. The usual suite of tissues, paper towels, and toilet paper are all fully stocked. Amtrak also provides hand and face towels in addition to their paper counterparts. Cups are also provided, and in a wild twist, I actually ended up using them while staying in here, and honestly, the water doesn't taste bad at all. The vanity also includes the second of 2 outlets in the room. Located above the mirror is the bathroom light, controlled by the switch below the handrail on the wall. The toilet itself is clean and functional, so no complaints there. Interestingly, there's an indicator light for the toilet, which shows the operating status. The toilet takes time to refill in between flushes, and this light makes sure passengers don't accidentally waste water by flushing it too early. The observant among you may have noticed that there is no door separating the 2 halves of the bedroom. Technically, there isn't a door, but there is a curtain that can be used to separate the bathroom from the sleeping area. It's not super secure and still has some gaps towards the edges, so if you're traveling with more than one person, then the utmost trust is required while using the facilities. If security is a concern of yours, then fear not, as the doors feature a secure lock that can only be accessed from the inside. The lock features a two-piece mechanism with the lower bar locking the door in place, while the upper prevents the lower from flicking back up, meaning it's almost impossible for the door to be opened accidentally, with no way of opening it from the outside. The solely interior lock also explains the coat hanger in the door from earlier, as there's no way to secure the door from the outside, so the friction from the hanger was holding the door closed when we arrived. Overall, the room is very nice, and for a single passenger, it's more than enough space. If you're enjoying the video so far, I would really appreciate it if you hit that subscribe button down below. It's totally free and it really helps support the channel. Also, the channel now has a Patreon. If you're interested in having your name in the video, gaining access to exclusive weekly posts, and even having the opportunity to vote on future videos, then click the link in the top right or in the description below to learn more. It's getting pretty late, but before we head to bed, there's one last amenity to check out. Included for passengers in all of Amtrak's rooms is access to a shower. That's right, a shower. The shower in our car is located just a few doors down from our room. Inside, there really isn't a lot of room, with the majority of the space taken up by the shower itself. The shower is fairly basic, with a detachable shower head and a temperature control. Next to the shower head are some fairly basic instructions, although they're not really necessary as there's not much to get wrong. The shower stall is tall enough for me to stand up in, however the standard mounting point for the shower head is too low for me, so the detachable head is greatly appreciated. The one thing that I was unsure would be provided was shampoo and body wash. Amtrak does well to provide one of these two things, with a box of bars of soap and a bottle of Amtrak's usual hand soap. There was not, however, any shampoo or conditioner, so be sure to bring your own. I made sure to snag some from my hotel the night prior, so I was good to go. Amtrak also provides plenty of fresh towels, so there's no need to worry about drying off. There's a small coat and towel rack on the wall to hang towels and clean clothes. Additionally, there are two outlets and an attendant call button below the mirror on the far wall. Turning on the shower, the water pressure is actually pretty good, with an easily adjustable temperature knob. All in all, it's not perfect, but it's certainly welcome after a long day of traveling. Having cleaned up, it's time to head to bed. Before we turn in for the night, it's worth turning out the lights to see just how bright the room remains. Unfortunately, the hallway lights remain on at all times, and the lack of a proper seal on the bottom of the door means that the light bleeds through into the darkness of our room. I did my best to block out the gap with my shoes, but I also recommend bringing a sleep mask like this one if you can. Additionally, the emergency exit signs glow at night, which some can find bothersome. Yet another reason to bring that sleep mask. The suburban communities rolled past in the darkness, and after getting comfortable, it's time to turn out the lights one last time and get some much-needed shut-eye. The familiar sound of our train's horn and the early morning sun met us as we awoke the next morning. The golden morning light illuminated the fields beyond the tracks as we cruised through rural Indiana. We don't have to wait long for our first station stop of the day, our train slowing as we pulled into Waterloo, Indiana. A quick stop and exchange of passengers later, and we're back on our way. I'm getting pretty hungry, so let's head over to the dining car to grab some breakfast. The upstairs of Superliners features 10 of the roomettes, plus 5 of the regular bedroom suites. Moving down 2 cars brings us to the dining car. Unfortunately, traditional dining has yet to return to the Capital Limited, which means we have to choose from a rather limited range of options for breakfast today. Taking a look at the menu, passengers have the option of a selection of items from the continental breakfast, thick-cut French toast, and a 3-egg omelet, plus a drink of their choosing. That being said, passengers can choose from either the French toast or the omelet, and also have items from the continental breakfast if they just ask for them. For breakfast today, I opted for the French toast and a blueberry muffin from the Continental Breakfast, plus a cup of coffee. Removing the cover on the main dish revealed 4 thick slices of French toast and 2 pieces of bacon, all of which actually looked pretty good, smelled even better, and honestly tasted great. The muffin, despite looking appetizing, did not taste nearly as good. It was almost exclusively sugar, and the heavily processed blueberries did nothing but detract from the already mediocre pastry. The coffee was alright, and overall I think I'd have to give this meal a 5.5 out of 10. The main dish was nice, but there wasn't enough food to really fill me up, hence the muffin, which ended up being worse than anticipated. I don't know what I was anticipating from breakfast, but I think my expectations were higher than they should have been, especially considering how much I paid for the room upgrade. Before we head back downstairs to our room, we can make a quick pit stop at the Complementary Refreshment station. Offered to all sleeper passengers in the morning is unlimited fresh hot coffee and water bottles. There's a standard water dispenser which currently isn't working, hence the water bottles, but the usual cups are still stocked. I grabbed a fresh cup of coffee before heading back downstairs. While we're cruising through the Midwest, why don't we take a quick look at some stats about our train and our route? Taking us to Chicago today is Amtrak Capital Limited number 29, and is powered by GE Genesis P42DC number 129. Each P42DC is powered by GE's 7F-DL16 V16 engine, producing 4,200 horsepower, hence the 42 in the name. P42DCs are rated for a top speed of 110 miles per hour, but track speeds limit trains to a maximum of 80 miles per hour. Our consist today includes the aforementioned P42DC, a baggage car, and 6 Superliner coaches. Within those 6, 3 are regular coach cars, 1 is a dining and cafe car, with 2 sleeper cars at the front of the consist. Amtrak's Capital Limited runs a total of 780 miles between Washington, D.C. and Chicago, with a journey time of 17 hours and 30 minutes between the 2 cities. The service includes a total of 14 stations with 4 smoke stops in Cumberland, Maryland, Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, Cleveland, Ohio, and Toledo, Ohio. Soon after returning from breakfast, our car attendant comes by to convert our bed back into seats for the remainder of the journey. While we waited, we were asked to have a seat in room 14, one of the many roomettes on board, so while the opportunity presents itself, let's take a look at what the roomette has to offer. Roomettes are the smallest accommodation offered on Amtrak, taking up about the same footprint as the seats do in our accessible bedroom, with a total of 22.75 square feet of real estate. The seats in roomettes are identical to those in our bedroom and have a decent amount of space between each seat. Pulling on the bar underneath each seat reclines the seat back, although fitting 2 people across from each other with both seats reclined seems nearly impossible. The tray table pulls up and out from its position in the wall, folding out across the seats. Bottles of water are also included for each passenger. The front-facing seat includes a reading light, plus the music controls, which again didn't do anything, an attendant call button, and the main light switch. The main light has 2 on settings, with the traditional one plus a night light. The rear-facing seat features the same reading light, plus the AC temperature controls, and the only outlet in the entire room. Yes, the only outlet. So if you plan on traveling in a roomette, I highly recommend bringing a power strip if possible. With such a small footprint, storage is extremely limited. There's space for a bag or 2 on the floor by the door, with a small alcove next to the rear-facing seat, and that's about it. The alcove has a strap that can be secured across any larger items to prevent them from moving around in transit, but with almost no depth, I find it hard to believe that it'll see any use. Above that are a couple coat hangers and 2 cubbies for the complimentary hand and face towels. The other side of the room includes the trash can, which is the same size as the one in our room, with the box of tissues on the top step. The upper bunk folds down in the same manner as the one in the accessible bedroom and is identical in size. This is also where the linens are stored when the room is not in its bed configuration. The same reading light for the top bunk is located in the ceiling, although this one wasn't working. The AC is controlled by the lever sticking out of the vent in the ceiling, which moves the slats to control airflow. As with the doors in our accessible bedroom, they can only be locked from the inside with the same two-stage mechanism. Unlike our door, however, roomette and traditional bedroom doors include windows, which can be covered by a curtain on the wall. The car attendant finishes up and we can return to our room. As we get seated, the catenary wires of the South Shore line begin their parallel run to our tracks. One of only a handful of overhead electrified lines in the US, the South Shore line runs, as the name suggests, along the south shore of Lake Michigan, connecting Chicago with northern Indiana. Top speeds are limited on most routes across the US, and the Capital Limited is no exception, with the maximum track speed set at 79 miles per hour. With our bedding put away, the bottom bunk converts back into the two usual seats, like seen in the roomette. For one passenger, there's plenty of legroom, with space beneath the other seat to stretch out. Each seat reclines in the same manner as the roomette, although with both seats reclined, there's barely enough room for one person's legs, let alone two people. The tray table unfolds, revealing a feature I hadn't noticed before, a chessboard etched into the center surface. That being said, the tray table is rather dirty from the previous passengers, which is less than ideal. Additionally, it's not nearly high enough to sit flat without hitting my legs, which renders it almost entirely useless. The south coast of Lake Michigan fills the window as we approach the Illinois border, with our engineer treating us to a nice surprise of a shave and a haircut along the way. It's not long before we reach the outskirts of Chicago and cross over I-90, the Chicago skyline standing tall on the horizon. The beginning of the end is marked by our crossing of the South Branch of the Chicago River. Our final few minutes on board bring us past Amtrak's Chicago Yard, where many of Amtrak's brand new Siemens Venture coaches are stored. If you want to learn more about these incredible coaches, go check out the full trip report where we rode on the newly rerouted Missouri River Runner from Chicago to Joliet on board a Siemens Venture coach. We soon reach the mouth of Union Station and the end of the line. Our train rolls to a stop and we can grab our belongings and disembark into Chicago's Union Station. After one quick look at Locomotive 129, we can head inside. Chicago's Union Station serves as Amtrak's gateway to the West, with the majority of Amtrak's long-distance routes beginning or ending their journeys here. Plus, with connections to Amtrak local and Metro commuter services, Union Station cements itself as the fourth busiest station in the US and the fifth in North America. Our journey may be over, but our adventure isn't quite done. Included with same-day sleeper and business class tickets is access to Chicago's Metropolitan Lounge, which I couldn't help but check out briefly. The station lounge includes some light refreshments and snacks, plus plenty of seating for passengers to wait for their train. We did have another service to catch here in a bit, so I grabbed a few snacks and continued on our way. We will be taking a more in-depth look at the station lounge in a later video, so be sure to stick around. Stepping back outside, we reach the main hall of Chicago's Union Station and the end of today's video. If you've stuck around this far, I just want to say thank you. I know this video was a long one, but I thoroughly enjoyed the sleeper experience and I wanted to do my best to share it all with you. If you enjoyed the video, leave a like down below so more awesome people can experience this incredible journey. If you didn't, feel free to drop a comment down below to tell me what I should change. All feedback is greatly appreciated and I would love to hear from you. If you're new around here, I would really appreciate it if you hit that subscribe button down below. It's totally free and it really helps support the channel. If you liked the video, drop it a like too. There's a lot more incredible content on the way, so stick around if you want to see more. But anyways, that's all I have for today. Thanks for riding with me, and I'll see you in the next one.